we would have said to each other the last time we saw each other, the next time we're going to see each other is going to be 6 weeks, 7 weeks later. So this is funny. Yeah, a lot of yeah. I like to hear. Yeah, and here's the thing: we really haven't got into in depth with enough people that went to Soulogy Fest, but you, Astrid, God, I can't remember everybody's name. Janelle. There was about seven, I think, if I counted it, people that sent me these testimonies of what their experience was like you did. And I was like, whoa. So that's one thing I wanted to just cover because we really haven't covered that. We covered mine and Hung's, her own experience. But really, there were so many people there. And from what I understand and what I felt, everybody was having major transformational, wild experiences to go on top of everybody having problems or resistance getting there. And for me,
Yeah,
staying
actually, the
there.
only reason that I got to meet you was because of those floods in Dallas. So I ended up leaving a day early and
Oh.
got there early. And so that was kind of serendipitous that I met you. And it was so strange when you said, I hope to see you around midnight when I get back. There was this voice in my head, and I thought, well, you're not going to be here. But I didn't say it out loud. But then it had me wondering, well, where is he going to be?
Well, we all had to do our grid work.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was, first it was a pleasure meeting you because, I mean, that was what, on Monday? I think that was on Monday or
Monday or
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, and, having seen your name and we exchanged messages or emails or something, I had remembered that because I can remember energy and names. But then you end up being from Texas, went to school at A&M. I think you grew up in Houston. Uh, you live out in Blanco now, in that beautiful hill country. And yeah, just getting to know you and your beautiful soulmate, your companion. And it was very cool just, sitting around with three or four of us and just chilling out. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. That was like the calm before the storm, wasn't it?
Yes.
So you came early, and yeah, how was the rest of your experience?
It was, so that night I woke up around 3 in the morning, the night I had met you, that you had gone away. And I woke up and I walked down and it was just dead silence and there was this completely different energy. And I
Wow.
knew that something had happened. And I walked back, went back to sleep, and then the next morning, it was like a completely different kind of dark, confused energy. And everybody, we all, scrambling to figure out what to do. And so there was that going around. And but then once it started, it was intense. It was really I don't even know how to describe it. It was changing energies and like fire and cosmic stuff, and then I would go into the woods and come back down to the earth. It was it was almost where you couldn't even figure it out until a couple weeks later what had happened while you were there.
Ain't that the truth? A couple of weeks, 6, 7, 8 weeks later.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people talked about the different energies. Many of them seen apparitions, animals, um, and a very mixed bag. I think what I pulled out of it from not just my own experience, but hearing a couple of other people picking up the frequency of the memory or whatever you call it, was we extracted some very, very old, primordial, deep earth. I would say they were like gatekeepers, but they were being held almost like prisoner or being suppressed, and they were
Mhm.
pissed. And I actually ran into them. I think it was like right after we inked the deal with the people, and I stayed at the bottom of the mountain for 2 nights. That's the first time I saw them. There was 2 of them. But anyway, at the end of the day, it was something that was very spectacular. This coding, the people that came, who they were, and how they took this coding with them. And several of them went to mountains, just by chance, hung even up in the mountains at her favorite camping spot, and figured out later that she was releasing the code, So there was something really amazing that happened. And just so everybody knows, in my opinion, you're very, very sensitive. You're like ultra sensitive. And you also have been able to kind of embody that into your lifestyle, and you live a very high frequency life, a very interesting life, and have led an interesting life. But just so we can get past the Soulogy Fest part, we'll get to who you are and all that I refer to. What happened to you? What was the message that you sent me after the festival?
Yeah.
How you ended up?
So I went. I actually decided to leave a little bit early, and I left early Sunday morning. And I said bye to everybody, packed everything up, looked on Google Maps, decided which route I was going to take, and then checked out, went to town to eat breakfast, and I sat down at breakfast to pull up Google Maps again, and it came up with this message I've never seen on Google Maps. It could show me where I was, it could show me where I was trying to go, and it said, "We cannot find a path to there." And I said, okay. So I checked it. The internet was working. I was in 5G, checked other apps. Everything was working. I downloaded 2 more apps to try to figure out how to get home. And both of them, very similar message. They wouldn't work.
Wow.
So I bought a key map. And with a key map, you have to write down every direction.
Right.
And of course, I missed the second turn. And so then I said, I'm just going to drive. And I ended up driving through, what's the name of the town you're in? Fort something?
Fort Smith.
Yeah. So I drove through Fort Smith, and I was like, oh, this is where Todd is. I should go stay outside, kind of put my energy. And I was like, wait, I don't know where the jail is. I don't know how to get there. So I just drove by, and as I was driving through the freeway on that town, or the major road, I had this, my crown just blew open, and everything looked like, it was like I was in a different world, like rainbows everywhere.
Wow. Everything
was kind of slowed down, but it wasn't where I didn't feel like I could drive. I felt completely at peace. No longer worried at all that I was not going to be able to find my way. I just kept driving, and I kept turning and going on the smaller and smaller roads. And I kept stopping. I would stop, look around, hang out. I stopped so many times, and I thought, this 10-hour drive is going to end up taking 15, 16 hours at this rate. And I even stopped and had sushi. I wanted sushi really bad, and there was sushi just in and it was like a decent sushi restaurant. I couldn't believe it, but
in the deep south.
I felt like I floated home. Like I felt like and I don't drive long distances very much, but I literally felt like I floated home. And then I rolled into Houston, and I looked at my watch. I was like, oh, I'm going to get there exactly in the amount of time it was supposed to take, even though I took this insane detour. And the detour was all the way down Arkansas through forest the entire way.
Yeah, that was the Ouachita Mountains. That's the Ouachita Mountains. That's the way they took me. It was crazy.
As soon as I heard you talking about that, I was like, I think we took the same route.
So you went through East Texas. Then
I went all the way down Arkansas, and then then jumped in Texarkana, I guess, into Texas.
Nacogdoches. You went through Nacogdoches.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I went to school. I was going down that whole East Texas route because I used to work at a landscaping company, and sometimes I would drive a truck and drive around East Texas and pick up plants and trees and stuff. And there was like this incident, that incident, and I was going by all these different places. So yeah, we were definitely, I think there was definitely some major weaving going on or however you want to describe it, but not just there, but maybe many places, and certain places were starting to pulsate or explode. But it was a very deep affair. We got a lot of stuff to unpack with it, and I'm really happy that you went and I was able to meet you, and the people like you that are stepping up. And I'm really glad that you're coming on, because I think this is the energy people need to see. I know we talked. There were other people there, but you're just so chill, and and then hearing your story and like your lifestyle, and you've got a 5-year-old daughter, and you got a great story about her going down to the river, to the stream or the creek. Maybe you can talk about that later. But yeah, and I was just like, yeah. So how did this happen for you? Were you lit when you woke up? Because I know you were very academically, a high achiever. You went to A&M. You had a strong professional degree, strong professional career, and kind of step away, mid-30s, you just step away from it. I mean, was that your wake-up experience?
I lived in Egypt when I was younger, and I felt like I had some activation there.
Okay.
At the pyramids, I was always strongly drawn to the pyramids. And so I felt like it started there. And then when I came back to the US, I just didn't feel right. I came back in 4th grade, and the rest of the way through high school, I was kind of, you know, sad and trying to figure stuff out. Um, and then I really started soul searching in college a lot. I would say the major break was I went to the Appalachian Trail. I was in a really just difficult time, and I went on the Appalachian Trail by the recommendation of my very good friend Justin. He's in my soul group. And on the trail, I realized how simple things could be, and that I wasn't lonely at all when I was in the woods by myself.
So
And when I came, pardon?
no, I was just going to say, just to clarify. So when you said you went to the Appalachian Trail, you went hiking, like overnight hiking,
Backpacking, yeah, backpacking. I was just there for, I think, about 3 weeks.
in the woods by yourself.
Yes.
Dang, that's strong. Did you? I mean, God, I can't believe I'm even like admitting this, but I don't know if it's because there's no bathroom and shower, or if deep down it's like, I don't know. Every time I walk around the jungle, or not jungle, but the forest or whatever, I feel bear energy and big cat energy, and I don't know if my
Big
human's
cat.
just chicken to go hiking by myself on a trail for 3 weeks. I've never really considered it, but yeah. So that was very liberating for you.
It was, yeah, it was just that I guess I just broke open and realized that being in the city and working 2, 3 jobs to keep my house, uh, I realized, why am I doing this? And I kept having the repetition in my head that, like, you are choosing this. You are choosing to live in the city and work so much, and you can't do it differently. So yeah, it was the cosmic moment, December 21st, 2012.
Oh wow.
And I didn't even realize this until about 6 months ago when the date was. I had to pull out paperwork and find out when I sold everything and bought my RV. So yeah, December 21st, I got really, really uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. I was, I mean, I was out of characteristic, so uncomfortable that I could not stay there any longer. And I just knew I had to go somewhere. So I quit my job right before Christmas, bought an RV the day after Christmas, sold everything I owned, and was gone, by the beginning of the year.
God.
And yeah,
Yeah, I think you're probably a gatekeeper or space holder or something. So that was on
I like to
December
call them
20.
bridges.
Bridges?
Oh, I call them bridges. The
Yeah.
bridges are the people that, and you're a wonderful bridge, but the bridges, that's just my personal term for people that are
Yeah.
like bridges between the 3D and the 5D, and they kind of help people.
Right, right. Yeah, because energetically to do that, to do that, and okay, because I just want to get a little more clarification. Knowing, what was your profession? What was your study?
At the time, I was doing pet retail management.
But I mean, when you went to A&M, you got a strong degree. I remember it's something that made me
I have
go.
a business degree, but it was a time where it was kind of difficult to find jobs. It
Right.
was right after that Enron thing.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, because I kind
Yeah,
of caught that wavelength. I thought, well, she was, I mean, she's at that, that's a different thing. Intellect, intelligence, you know what I mean? Intelligence.
yeah.
But the reason I'm saying that is because you were in the matrix. I mean, you were on the treadmill, you were the hamster on the wheel. And on the 21st December 2012, you
hmm
literally just did a 180-degree turn, and you were in a totally different lifestyle within 2 weeks.
Yes. I when I sold everything I owned, I had like 67 pairs of high heels.
Holy crap.
And and within 2 months of being down here, I completely stopped wearing makeup. Just totally, I started working for minimum wage, just, see if see how it was. Kind of
Wow.
slowed down and really just it took me about 10 years to really slow down.
Wow. Wow. 10 years from, oh, well, here we are, 10 years. You're talking now,
Yeah.
right? Well, that's
Eight years.
cool. I mean,
Yeah.
as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And there is a sense right now for me. Yesterday, I was saying on the show that yesterday was one of maybe two other days on par with you go, like you said when you're driving through Fort Smith, like all of a sudden there was this new world. But
hmm
with everything that's been going on, all the frenetic and kinetic and all the different stretches of energy and everything that's happening, there is this sense of, like coming into it or something, like what you're exhibiting today and what you're saying about your own story, which is cool.
Yes. The sky has been insane.
Yeah. Yeah, the sun and the coating, the stars, the moon last night. Man,
The moon was so bright. It actually made rainbows this morning. There was
really,
dark clouds. I'd never seen it so bright that it was casting out rainbows.
wow. Yeah, I communed with the moon last night and wrote some dope ass shit. I was plugging in, man. I was like, whoa. Like I hadn't hit that level before from a personal perspective, but it was the moon. It was actually the moon and Jupiter. That's what it was. It
hmm
was like this triad. I look up, there's the moon, there's Jupiter, and it just started, and I was like, man, I'm going to write. Just sit there and listen to instrumentals, and it was very cool. So when you're out in the Appalachian, I'm sure that wasn't your last adventure. You're making the old masculine in me want to go have to do this because you did it. But I saw that show with Reese Witherspoon where she went up, I think, the Oregon Trail or some Northwestern Trail. It was a true story about a woman.
Pacific Crest Trail.
Yeah, something like that. It was awesome. It
Probably.
was an incredible movie. But when you're out there, what kind of energetic experiences did you have? Or was it more of the tranquility, and the cicada, collective of the forest, you know what I mean? The sounds.
It was, and there was fears I had to get through that you talked about. I mean, there was a couple of times where I screamed and went into a ball when I heard an owl. But it was just clarifying. I would say that it was clarifying, and it gave me that push, and it just let me know it was. I mean, that's what I found there was that, I can create my life, and I can decide what my life is going to be like. I don't have to keep scrambling in the city where it's not
Yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, right when I decided that in the middle of the forest, I'm like, the first thing I'm going to do is get the fuck out of here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, yeah, I don't know. And for you to, like, again, like, so there was a couple times you just curled up into a ball and just, cried
But it
yourself?
was one distinct time. You were talking about the big cat energy.
Yeah,
I felt that super strong, and I knew there was a big cat really close.
yeah,
I could feel it in my skin was tingling.
Yeah.
And I heard this thing running. I was kind of in a V, the trail was at the bottom of a valley. And I knew the cat was on one of the sides. And I heard this, it was pretty early in the morning, and I just heard this something running. And I just ducked behind my backpack and behind the tree. And I probably stood there for at least 30 minutes before I was ready to stand up
Holy
again.
crap.
And it just ran by, whatever it was. I didn't even look because I was too scared.
Wow.
But yeah, I just hid. But yeah, the journey's been, the way I've changed over the last 10 years is, it's hard to even think about. Sometimes I have to remind myself. I remember when my daughter was really young, I was struggling, as an only parent, and I was in the outdoor shower just looking at my chickens and my garden and my beautiful, I can see the river from the outdoor shower. And I just looked around and I was like, oh, look at that. Like, everything I wanted is here. Beautiful daughter, garden within steps of my door, chickens, in a safe place. I was like, this is it. The river's right there. I got there, and then, it's like, well, in, about 5 years, I created this. Like, what's next?
Wow.
What do I want to do next?
And you live near a river? Are you pretty close?
I live on the Blanco River.
You're right on the Blanco River.
Yeah, just down the way.
Wow. And so there's that story where your daughter was ill, and I think you went into communion or meditation or prayer or whatever and got the intuition of what to do. Was that correct?
Yes, it was. It was during the pandemic, so people weren't really I didn't want to go to the doctor. And she got a really high fever. Kids do that. They just spike up sometimes. So her fever spiked up, and I gave her, I do plant medicine, and I get all my medicine from the land and do foraging. So I have a Japanese honeysuckle is what I use for fever reducer. And so I gave her the Japanese honeysuckle, and it just wasn't working quick enough. And her fever was too high. So I told her, I said, okay, I'm going to have to put you in the cold bath to bring it down real quick until the medicine can work. And she screamed, and I had done it before, and she said, do not put me in the cold bath to bring the fever down. I said, okay, well, it was 2020, and it was fall. It was a little bit later than it is now. And I said, okay, well, how about the river? And I said, that's your choice. You can get in the bath or get in the river. And she's like, I choose the river. I said, okay.
How old is she at this time? Like 3?
4.
4, okay.
Yes. And 5. She's 5 now. So I took her down to the river, carried her down there, and we get to the place where we always walk in the river. I'm holding her, and there was a very large snake right in front of, there's kind of a natural step that we take to get in. And I looked and I said, well, there's a big snake here. Do you want to walk farther and then we'll get in? And she said, no, Mama, that snake won't hurt us. I said, okay.
Wait.
I was like, well, I mean, I'm okay with snakes, but I don't really want to step right next to it to get in. But
you had to step
onto the step, and the snake just on top of the water. It was a water snake. I knew what kind of snake it was, not venomous. And so the snake just went, and we hung out in the river. And the snake, he kept looking at us and hanging out. And we went in the river. And by the time we got back up to the house, her fever was broke, and it was done.
Snake medicine. Snake medicine. And taking the direction from the child. I believe we're going to see more and more and more of that. I really do. A lot of people have talked about that. We just had another one 2 days ago. Oh, really? What happened?
Oh, my goodness. It was, I actually just made myself walk down there for the first time right before we did this, but I put boots on. So I started Judith's class last week, and I'm reading her book, the Why I Was Born in Africa for her
Oh,
class.
Judith Kuzel. Judith Kuzel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in her book, one of the very first chapters, there's this rock that she takes a picture of.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it looks just like my favorite rock on the land. So this was 3 days ago. So I went down, and there's a natural spring there, but it's barely flowing right now because we're in drought. So I went down there where the rock was and took pictures of it. And I thought to myself, oh, if I go up in the trees right there, I can get the same angle that Judith took of that picture. And then my mind told me, this is the perfect place for a rattlesnake. I was like, no, I said that's never happened before. But then I started getting bit by, there was all of a sudden cover the mosquitoes. I was like, okay, I'm not going to go up there. I'm not going to go up there.
Wow.
And then I went back in the house. So the next day I'm sitting on the porch and my daughter's out there climbing a tree, right outside the fence. And all of a sudden she comes running in, and I just knew something was wrong. She said, Mama, come. There's a huge rattlesnake over here. And I didn't even think there was going to be. I went out there barefoot. She was barefoot. I was barefoot. We're in the driveway right by the house. And we go off to the end of the driveway, and I thought it was going to be a stick or a rat snake or something like that. And I peer over the edge of the driveway, and it was the biggest rattlesnake I had ever seen.
Really?
Huge. It's the black-tailed rattlesnake, which is not that common in the hill country, but it comes in by the springs. And there was a spring right there by that rock. And this is where the rattlesnake was, right by that rock I had taken pictures of the day before.
Holy
and
crap.
And it had this black tail that was like looking into the abyss.
Wow.
With and it was in a different shape than I almost always get snake medicine with the kundalini, like woven into the message, but this snake was super fat and almost like a staff, the way it was sitting.
Wow.
And I looked and I just knew it was, like I felt like that mother pregnancy energy. I was like, okay. And then as soon as we look over the thing, my heart just jumped out of my body. And Haven's like, don't kill it. Don't kill the snake. I was like, I am not. That snake is huge.
How big was it?
I'm trying to do anything to that snake.
What was it, like 6 feet? Was it a big?
They don't usually get 6 feet here. It was at least 4 feet. It was the biggest one I've ever seen. It had 7 rattles.
That's big enough. That's big enough. And that's 7 more rattles than I want to run into. But again, that was obviously some kind of medicine. You sensed it was a mother.
Oh, big time.
It was a mother. It was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it was almost like a bit flat. Like you said, it was like a staff, right?
Yeah, it was flattened out, and it didn't. It just didn't have that normal. It was some sort of different message. I knew it was connected to the rock and the spring and the class I'm taking. So.
Yeah,
yes.
leave it to Judith Kuzel. I have that book. She's going to be on next month. Actually, her and Mary Rodwell are going to come on the same day. Wow. Yeah. So do you? I mean, you seem very organic, very earthy. I think I probably asked you this too when we were, because that's where my mind would have gone. But do you have like galactic connections or memories or anything like that?
I've had past life memories come up, and I guess it was, I don't know how long ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. But then I realized that I'm one of the lion people.
Okay, right.
And
no wonder your interest in or your affinity with Judith. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hers are a little bit different. Your grand cat that I just got, he's a lion, but he's a different type of lion. The cat I just got from Izzy.
Oh, yeah. That's a different type of lion. I mean, because,
yeah, he's like very sandy, and I was thinking about him while I was reading Judith's book. And he's a magical cat. That cat is magical.
Cats are just magical, period.
Big time.
He needed to be over there with you. But that's all right. Um, so, like, what? Because I've heard some people that have pretty strong recollection of the Lion Kingdom, like Judith, but also some
Mhm.
people that actually, I've ran into at least four or five that are really connected, like an almost photographic memory connected, and
Yes, that
it's
I have not had that.
yeah, and I've had a couple of little visions here and there, but like what was your experience like? What was your memory of being from the Lion Kingdom, Lion
It was
people?
just kind of a knowing, and the I've always had. I have this one cat I've had 3 times. He actually just went into kidney failure. I found out yesterday. He's still alive, but he's a getting close to his third life ending with me. But I've had him in 3 different cat bodies, and he's kind of like my guardian. And then when I'm having a lot of trouble, I actually like will during meditation I will see like lion faces
Right.
that will help me feel at peace. And I dreamt a lot when I was pregnant with mountain lions. So it's
Wow.
just kind of like a knowing. One thing that started after I had my daughter, I had a really bad wreck like about 7 years ago. And I had a major transformation with that wreck. And then another major transformation when I got pregnant.
Wow.
And so it's just, and then I'm super connected with plants. And I started seeing plant auras and the plants. Like when I started studying plants, I would read all the books, want to know their exact scientific name, what they're supposed to be used for. But then I took classes with some people and it turned into like more of a magical connection to plants. And then just recently, I've really started connecting with rocks.
Yeah. And you're talking about really telepathy. I mean, when you get down
Yes.
to it, yeah. Uh,
There was this rock at Soulogy. Did you see the rock right down the trail? There was this giant
the Rock.
boulder
Yeah.
grandfather rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
That rock was powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some powerful spots on that mountain, but the mountain
Yeah.
itself was plenty just to get up there. But
Hmm.
well, this whole thing with because if you listen to the different narratives and that there are story, and I think that's going to be a big part of our memory. It would only make sense coming back the most recent, right? And I love where Judith picks it up. A lot of people will go like back to the Galactic War. You can go back to Lyra being, there's narratives that they were the original humanoids or the progenitors or whatever, right? And but if you go Lion Kingdom, Lion people, and for me, I don't know how all the sequence works, but Egypt, you know, there's just something about Egypt and cats and this feminine energy that wasn't as suppressed in the things that came afterwards. So it's almost like where was the Lion Kingdom? I think she calls it Elysium, Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt. Egypt to me seems like, and I know Samaria was before it and all that, but it just seems like it was the landing spot or something. I don't know. And
Yeah.
you lived in Egypt, and you have
When
this
I
thing
was,
with cats. You know,
yes.
yeah, it makes sense. Do you spend a lot of time in silence out there, or do you have like neighbors and stuff, or close by?
There's neighbors. I mostly hear their guns, but sometimes I
only,
hear them talk.
only in Texas, right? Only in Texas.
Yes. Well, they're big. I mean, all my neighbors have a lot of land, enough for hunting. So
That's
they're
nice.
big hunters.
Wow. Oh, so in the forest on that 3 week trip, or any other time, including around your house, have you run into any? Have you had any animal encounters
Uh,
like coyotes,
well,
wolves, bears, deer?
yeah, I mean, I see animals all the time because at the river, everybody comes to the river to drink. But
Right.
yeah, animal medicine, insect medicine, a lot. Like snakes and dragonflies and skunks and all that kind of stuff. Foxes. There's probably like 7 different foxholes here on the land.
Wow. Really cool.
So, there's a muskrat family down at it's actually I forgot the exact name, but it's a type of muskrat that's native to Texas. They have a little spot down there in the river.
Wow. And so your
But
daughter.
yeah, Blanca's very magical with the
Yeah.
karst formations and the limestone and.
Yeah, the color of it. It's like, is this a desert or a hill? It's like, it's it's very, very powerful. But you got this kid who's 5 years old that's grown up in this environment, and I'm assuming she's pretty much home all the time. I mean, like, in nature's home. I mean, and then climbing trees next to rattlesnakes and wanting to go in the water with the snake. Like, wow, that must be some high frequency wave of kids we have coming in like yours. What's that like?
It's interesting. I learned a lot from her. She's a great teacher. It's interesting we're coming at the end of this break. Society's really breaking down, and it was an interesting time to be raising a young child right now, especially during COVID, and then my daughter can probably identify 100 different medicinal plants, and we'll be places, and she's just over there eating food. I was like, not in the parking lot. Don't eat food in the parking lot.
What?
But yeah, there's medicine and food everywhere. So she's just, that's for home. Like, we're doing homeschooling, and for homeschooling, we made hackberry milk the other day. Learning how to do hammer and nails and basic stuff. We did a composting day the other day, along with the normal schooling stuff. And I work from home, so.
God, that's wild.
Yeah, we're just.
It's like
hanging out.
she's like a little jungle girl, But I mean, the frequency of it though is pretty amazing. And I would imagine if she's picked up on 100+ medicinal herb, alternatives, I guess you would have to say from the conventional perspective, at 5 years old, I mean, it has to be innate. It has to be an easy learn versus going to learn the ABCs because you sing a song, or math because you do multiplication tables. Like there has to be something in her blood that, in her DNA that picked it up right away. Not to mention,
they're still tied in at 5 years old. They're still directly connected to source.
Yeah.
So they have all the information.
Yeah.
They're learning how to be on Earth, but they know everything.
Yeah.
And they're keyed into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe we'll be listening to them. I believe they'll be leading us. I actually do. And I was told that in 2012, when all this Soulogy information came in. I was told, you're going to bust your ass for 10 years. And that was a plural. It wasn't just me. I understood it to be whoever's, on the ground crew. and then they said or showed that at about the 10-year mark, the kids would just run with it. Just like, just full force, like eating food in the parking lot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's funny. She's helping me. It's so interesting with kids. I talk to her and I tell her, like, I'm still healing all of my stuff, but anytime I get upset, I tell her it's not your fault I'm upset. That's my stuff. And she is a really good teacher. Like, I've figured out how to be even with most situations.
Right.
But then she gets me with the irritation, and it's like she'll poke the bear.
It's the shaman.
And then I look at her and she'll have this sly eye, like, I was like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, that's me. I got this.
It's the shaman in her. It's the Heyoka in her. You know, we got to keep everybody. We got to keep each other honest. Keep each other on our toes, and not forget to play. Right? Not to
Oh
forget
yeah.
to take things so seriously. Wow, that's funny and beautiful. Really, really beautiful. We should get her on sometime. You know,
Yeah.
have a conversation with her. I mean, seriously, we've had some kids on that were just amazing. Does she ever like just come up with stuff and you're like, what? Like,
Oh, a couple days ago, she did this thing that I was just, because it is hard to maintain the household and everything, and I do get frustrated. And she always wants chicken eggs, which I sell the chicken eggs to buy more chicken food. That's pretty much what I sell them for and eat them. So she always wants at least one or two chicken eggs, and she started putting her finger, she would break it, so she'd have to be able to have it. And I told her, I was like, I wish you'd stop taking my eggs. And I had this area of the yard, we used to have a dog, and there's this area where just nothing will grow. So what she had been doing, and she showed me, she's like, Mama, I want to show you what I'm doing with the chicken eggs. And we go over this area, and there's a couple areas where there's little grass coming up, and it's like in a square shape. And I'm watching what she's doing. She had this old Coca-Cola crate, and she got eggs and put them in the ground and water and mixed up sand and rocks, and then put this crate on top of it and put a layer of leaves. So she was basically making compost and healing the land.
damn.
And then she would leave it for a couple weeks, and she said, I just leave it, and then I come back and move it and put more eggs. And so she's trying to heal this part of the land. I was like in tears, like I couldn't believe she's already putting this knowledge together, or it's already in there, It was amazing.
Rainbow children.
Yes, I asked for a rainbow child.
Well, I think you got one. And she got a
Oh,
rainbow
yeah.
mother. Wow, that's awesome. And then some of them would, we've had kids on here talking about telling their parents they're from another planet. They're a astrophysicist in another planet.
Yes, so Haven has this place that she talks about all the time that she calls the Rainbow World. And so my Gandhi was my favorite grandmother, and she died before Haven was born. But my Gandhi, right after Haven was born, she came in the form of a cardinal. And I mean, she was adamant. Like, even my parents, who are super not on the same path, they would call it Gandhi. They're like, and Gandhi would sit at the window and peck on the window and, watch Haven. My whole house has windows all around. And it was crazy. And then eventually she finally went away, but she was for a few years. And then Haven started talking about Gandhi comes to me in the Rainbow World now. And I said, well, is it when you're asleep? And she's like, asleep and awake. It's a place far away from here, but not so far away. She would say stuff like that. And she goes into detail about it. And she'll say, like, Mom, there's a rainbow cat in the driveway. Come look. But I can't see the rainbow cats and the rainbow birds that she always talks about. But she said, everything's rainbow in the Rainbow World.
God.
And she says she goes there when she dreams, sometimes during the day.
Wow. That's powerful. That speaks to so many things.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks to, like, our generations obviously have different roles. We're right. I mean, it's just a thing, right? And I know by all of our efforts we're anchoring. I feel like a lot of the stuff we're coming into, really, we're aligning with it, in more comfortable terms or something. But these kids, like what you're describing, she's actually anchoring through her body, her body's collective, what we call whatever, the Rainbow World, the New Earth, 5, whatever it is. If she's seeing it, it's just like everything else energy-wise. If she's seeing it, someone else probably you, is going to snap one day and go boom, and then we're two or more, and then it's all the same thing. I mean, her healing the land, same thing. She's injecting rainbow energy and sacred wisdom. This is mind blowing. It really is. And I think that's true too about the Cardinals, because when I first started my journey, there were some 4 or 5 teens that transitioned and that came to me, right, to go to their parent, their mom, and 2 of them would come as Cardinals, and they would tell me that when the Cardinal comes, it is a person. Like, it can be other birds or butterflies or whatever, but that was like the primary. That's like the one you can go on. And then, like, for the next week on Facebook, all I saw was Cardinals. Just, you know, that you get that validation sometimes in the
Yeah.
fake, in the supposed fake world. None of it's fake. Wow, that's wild. Rainbow
Yeah.
world. I
Yeah, I
wonder.
hope I get to go someday.
Oh, I think we're already there. I think
Yes.
that's why we have so much family around us now. It's like, you know, I don't know if you
Oh,
can
you
relate.
probably was there when I
What's this,
drove past the jail. Because
what?
I described it as there was rainbows everywhere, and I felt like I was floating
There you go.
at the very beginning. It's like,
That's
oh, I
right.
guess I
That's
did.
right.
I got a little preview, a little visit.
Yeah, there was definitely some very positive, new, you know, for the times anyway, energy that was exerted during that time, and it's almost like we have these massive come-togethers, right? And then it goes, pew, and you're just kind of like walking wobbly back into it. And the thing I was going to say about the family, a lot of people are saying, I feel more and more vibrational support, right? And but to me, it's like we're already in the rainbow world. But it's like, I don't know if you can relate, but like back in the day, go to a big party and you drink too much, and you're in this dark room and you got all these people holding you up, and it's all your friends and buddies, and you're coming to consciousness basically, right? And so, oh, I'm at this party, and all the, you know, I have a feeling it might be like that, and we'll all have a really good laugh. That might be the 2,000 years of peace, just straight laughter.
Yeah. It's
God.
been quite the ride up to here. We could use some laughter.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
more of it, more of it.
I mean, God, I can't even imagine your lifestyle with this. You know, because I know the area obviously, and I know enough about it, and then with what you're telling us, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like almost like a Shangri-La frequency. Do you ever have like other kids come into your field? Like, does she ever neighbors or friends or anything?
We hang out with, I have her hang out with a lot of different types of kids. And they're, you know, it's, yeah, she hangs out with like the local Blanco people. We do soccer and t-ball and yeah.
Yeah.
And then you know, there's some other people that are on a similar path to me out here, and we'll go do play dates with their kids and stuff. Other people homeschooling and such.
Well, I would imagine. I would imagine out there there'd be some progressive attitudes. You know.
It's
Yeah.
woven in. Blanca's a really interesting place.
Most.
It's kind of hard to describe. It's wild. It's like the Wild West, but also people are very connected to the land.
Yeah.
Even when it's almost, I think it's the rocks and the karst formations and there's a wildness out here that I love.
Yeah. 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 Horseshoe Bay. All those areas over there. So you said 10 years. Here you are. You created this space. Everything's kind of fallen into place, and you're like, what's next?
I have been my biggest vision I've been having these like the earth just healing itself, and the waters, that's what I've been putting into the new earth. And a lot of times during meditation it's about, everywhere in the world having, because there's a lot of like floods or droughts, everybody having, abundant water where it's needed. And I can just see the plants just, I feel like we're gonna come into harmony, and the earth is just gonna like rapidly heal herself, and I can just feel this beautiful, beautiful thing coming. That's the moss and frogs, and the way that we interact with the environment and the earth, and the way that we use resources, the way that we
Yeah.
View purchases and goods and all of that, it's gonna just majorly transform.
Do you think
That's what I've been feeling.
do you feel like, and I hear what you're saying, yeah. Do you feel like it's kind of or let's just say, because you can't really say absolute one way or the other, but do you think it's more a natural evolution that everyone is coming in and everything is coming into alignment with, or something that we have to really hardcore pursue on an activist basis, with human motions, or do you feel like it's something that's in the air, so to speak, telepathy, intuition, people coming back?
It's coming inside. It's coming inside every person. Like the awakenings are happening from the inside, and my intuition has changed. I've always been able to feel what people feel, but now it's like it's gotten to the point where I can like feel what people are thinking. I can feel how they're changing from the inside. And I pay a lot of attention to what people say, and there's just these little it's just like a shift in perspective away.
Right.
And I can feel the clicking happening with people that were seemingly so far away just a number of years ago, and now it's the way people talk to each other, the way people treat each other. It's all morphing. It's happening like so subtly that people don't even realize that everybody's kind of softening. And I feel like it's just coming from the inside. And it's like we're having the great remembering,
Yeah.
the things that we have forgotten many lives ago.
Like it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yes, that's sort of how it feels. Yes.
Yeah, it's inevitable. And every day, like it's, God, I can't even like encapsulate time, but I know September post Soulogy Fest, and this kind of it's almost like we got thrown into, like, I don't know how to explain it, almost like a super powered cosmic car wash. It's just like when all these things are coming and you're getting sprayed and you're coming out and then the thing starts blowing on you. But if I just look at the last 2 days, the level of conscious, what I would describe as a conscious dimensional experience frequency band, the level of the last 2 days, not the whole day long, but just pockets, has been incredible. Last night, I had this, I told you it was the moon and Jupiter. And Jupiter's like been in my face since I last talked to you when I had to cancel that day. You were the show I had to cancel.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at me, oh, you're leaving now? I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving right now, after I had talked to you. But Jupiter was right there. So last night when I saw the moon, and then I look, because I was sitting on the stoop of my RV, and then I see Jupiter again. I was like, oh, wow. I carried that. I wrote. I listened to music. I wrote. I laid down, and consciously I went in my body to the nth degree with emotions, focus. I don't know how to explain it. Soul, mind, heart. I don't know how to explain it. And then these things happened afterwards. and like I could just see everything, and I was like, whoa, you know. I was just freaking out. I was driving in like in a haze, going, wow, what the hell just happened? But these things, these lucid dream recollections, these experiences like that, even like animal experiences, animal medicine experiences, these brushes with nature that are, you know, like I'm in this town when I went to, you know, on my little sabbatical. I pulled up to this town called Payson, which is 6,000 elevation. And the fucking elks, man, just walk right into the town. And this town's got a few people in it. It's got 3 grocery stores. It's got probably, I don't know, 5,000, 8,000 people. And they just walk right down Main Street. And you're right, everybody just like parts. You know, everybody respects the nature out there. Crazy. Mm-hmm. It's getting crazy. Yeah, I like this method. I believe it. Well, you know, let me clarify. I prefer this. I see this as more realistic than spaceships landing, you know, fuckery, earthquake, whatever, you know. I see this blend into basically an Eden-esque type of, you know, situation.
Yep. I just think it's going to be a soft way into cooperation, not breaking everything down and rebuilding. I think it doesn't have to break down.
Right.
With the internal perspective shift, we can just, you know, flow into it, come into it naturally. Like you said, like it's the wheels have already been set in motion, and now we just have to do our work and keep, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like, I doesn't even feel like it used to be hard. Like I used to have to try so much more, but now it's just all the healing or anything, like anytime something happens, it feels like the processing and the healing it's just happening. It's not so heart-wrenching and tearing like it used to feel 10 years ago going through it, for sure.
Oh, I don't know. I've had my moments in the last 2 weeks. And they haven't lasted as long, but they've been intense. They've been as intense as anything I've ever gone through. But obviously, you know, there's, you know, in some parts of our streams, we're that battering ram, basically. That's what we are. And I know my soul. My soul's like, where is it? Let's go. Where's the new frontier, you know? And not that that's the way it should be. There should probably be some forethought. God, I was going to mention something. Well, you know, and the thing is, like, it's like the explanation, certainly to me, the old school teaching method, including in these communities, is going away. I am not your teacher, and I am not your student. I can share my experience. I can create a space, you know, like Morgan does with her groups or other people. There's so many different ways to do it. But it's not, because one thing is for certain. We all have the human condition. We're all a soul. This energy is taking no prisoners. And the one thing that it's going to hold you accountable to, that we can actually follow, in my opinion, is integrity. Integrity, when no one knows the story, integrity. With the littlest thing, you know, letting your daughter pull a plant out of, you know, eating a plant in the parking lot, or communing with a snake, or, you know what I mean? Whatever that is, that is the key, because like you're talking about, all these things are going to deconstruct or reconstruct, because everyone's going to have a higher and higher level of integrity. And anyone that says those people don't and won't doesn't have it in themselves, and that's the bottom fucking line. So, and that's me included, and every one of us. It's oneness is oneness. We can't be walking around suspicious, all the time and paranoid. We just have to do what you and your daughter are doing, and chill. Take the chill pill. Forget the red and blue pill, whatever they are. Or take both of them. Take both of them. I love that. I love that meme.
I saw that the other day. You might post it.
I don't know. I try to post a lot and try to just keep people, I don't know. That's another thing. The last, when I left on that sabbatical, I just said, I don't know what's going to happen when I get back. I think I told you that. I don't know if there will be a Soulogy, or at least Todd involved with it. I was just like, I don't know nothing, right?
Yeah, so I think I'm leaving for 2 weeks, but it might be 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah. What I did figure out was, and maybe this can help other people too, because, I certainly, like you, was in the matrix a long time, high power, high level, workaholic, whatever you want to call it, and that whole old rhythm of got to get to work. You're not doing enough. I've lost that. Like, I'll do, 2 shows, 5-6 days a week, plus the other stuff that we do, and take it in stride. And some, that part's gone. But what I found, and I actually got this when I was doing the post for the show with you because of that symbol that you had as your, okay? And I was looking at it, and I was going, wow, what does this mean? And then I was getting like, you got 2 choices. You can either bathe in this stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it, or you can go move, action, flow. And you're not going to necessarily feel any better or worse. So what do you want to do? And I said, well, I just want to do this, let me go do this. Let's go try this. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I hope to get down there. I know I'm here till the end of the year, but definitely, reconnecting with my kids was very cool. So, with that whole ordeal, it was actually very magical. I it really was for me. I know that sounds crazy. Yeah, but
Not really.
yeah.
I even said whenever we were at Soulogy, a lot of people were saying it in different ways. Well, obviously he has work to do there.
Yeah.
In that place. And then hearing your story afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Is it work or bearing witness? I don't even know. But I guess it's anchoring in one form or the other. It's really, your daughter's energy feels like that energy. I'm not saying about myself necessarily either. I'm saying about even other people I talk to, and when they talk about things that they do. Like I was talking to my friend yesterday. Had lunch with my friend, and she said she was in an RV for a while, and she said she found herself going to all these Indian burial grounds and being guided to bury her crystals within them. And I'm like, well, there it is. Like, this woman never told anyone this. You know what I mean? She just brought it up because something I was talking about. But like, that's the real thing, right? Like, we can do this in our bedroom with the lights off, nobody around, nobody knowing anything. We can move mountains and stuff. Yeah. Well, it's pretty good. It's a good way to start the day with your chill ass. You're so chill. What's your? Oh,
Yeah, the
your daughter's.
water. I've been working with the water a lot out here. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've been working with the water a lot out here because of the drought.
Yeah.
It's been a tough. It's been almost a year of very little rain out here.
Wow. Yeah, there's some stuff like that going on too. I guess that's like the other thing too is all this information that had been fed to us for all these years that conditioned us. That stuff is really not holding water. You know what I mean? It's not sticking to the wall. Now, there's 101 people lose their lives in a hurricane, or whatever you think you can trust, but it's still, to me, like it's still energy. It's I don't know how to explain it, but overall, you can just see, like you were talking about, the way people are changing and how quickly, from when they were a few years ago, how many people just aren't buying it anymore. You know, I mean, it's going to be interesting, see how things play out.
Yeah.
But
The hurricanes, although, I grew up on the Gulf Coast, and hurricanes, although devastating, there's always a lot of positive that comes out of it. It really like shakes things up and
yeah,
gives people pause. And
it's like a cleansing.
hmm
Like a cleansing. So imagine being in the rainbow world, or being able to see that beyond our visible light spectrum, and seeing the energy of a hurricane coming in. All of us are eternal, so we're not going to be like obliterated. You can't get rid of energy, but like the human part of it's just one part of it. Um,
yeah.
but somehow or another, it's a very important part. Like it's on point,
hmm
and that's very
It's all
cool.
part of I mean, Gaia is, the Earth is an entity too that's also transitioning. It's ahead of us, but
Yeah,
it's transitioning ahead of us.
yeah.
So it's like also like she's working her stuff out, and at the same time, we're all connected. She's helping us, we're helping her, heading in the new direction.
That's a good point. I mean, having spent a lot of time in the space of the, let's just say, the divine masculine, divine feminine, human male, human female. So this is in my think tank, right? And therefore, I talked about when I was in Sedona in July, the whole thing with the dark feminine thing that I had happen to me, and then start delving into the dark masculine. And anyway, what I'm saying is that Earth, or any other soul essence, has the whole thing. I mean, she has a history too. She didn't just, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're raping Mother Earth." Well, in some contexts, that's true. But you got to remember, this is a conscious energy complex made up of God knows how many souls and how many, you know what I mean? That's made decisions. That has made decisions. Maybe has given away power, like we've given away power. But I guess to your point, she's taking it back now. We're all taking it back now. And there is a kind of a parallel to all this. So for everything we think we know, there's something we don't. And everything I think in my mind that you don't know, there's something I don't know. I mean, it's just the way it is. Humility is probably the
Yeah.
second thing with integrity. And I'm just talking about, how do you go through this thing with as much ease and grace as possible? Because the shit ain't stopping. At least not for a while. It doesn't feel like it. Are you,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even describe how intense it is sometimes.
tell me about it.
But then it goes away, and then you feel,
Hmm.
and it's your, I don't know, it's like, I mean, 2 days ago, the only thing I did the whole day was make a soup and carry some cat litter in from the driveway, and I was incredibly tired.
Right.
And I didn't do anything. But but then, it's ebb and flow, all the light coming in, processing. There's been so much going on in the dream world,
Yes.
all sorts of old memories just rolling through our heads. But that's what I meant by, it feels like it's happening faster now. Like this whole summer, I'll have whole scenes and conversations that I had completely forgotten from younger years just go through my head, and I'm like, oh, that was a kind of messed up thing that happened. But then that's it. It's like it
Mm-hmm.
just flows through you, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're casting it off, casting off the little bit of it's left that we don't even think about the thing anymore, but it's still somehow affecting us.
Yeah. Yeah. That I've had that happen. I think I've heard people talking about that too. I mean, I had it happen a few days ago, and it was just like one after the other for like a couple of hours. And I was just kind of watching it, going, "Wow, this is
Uh-huh.
trippy." I don't remember that. That was fucked up. That was my
Yeah.
intention when I said that or did that, or. But it wasn't like in judgment. It was just like passing, like you said, like releasing, maybe something like
It's
that.
like looking at it from above. It feels like
Yeah,
you're observing it and letting it go
yeah,
very quickly
yeah.
instead of having to dwell in it for, months of dark night of the soul. It just feels like it's happening like that.
Yes, yes, exact. That's quantum. That's enhanced awareness. We're still going through the same thing. We're just some things are slower and some things are faster, right? Kind of thing. But you said the thing about dream state, and that was another thing I just remember when you said that. That happened last night. So I kind of went to bed, and I was in that zone, and I started this whole process, and then I went into dream state, and it was just as thick. Now I'm in the dream state. I went from a conscious meditation state, I guess you would say, into the dream state. It was a seamless thing. Then some weird shit happened. Like my phone, I tried to turn it off at night. I turned it off. I didn't want it. I didn't want the energy. I was in that place. I don't even want the phone on, right? And
Hmm.
my phone, and it's not plugged in, right? And it's 111. My phone starts vibrating, and bzz, bzz, and I'm dead asleep. I'm in Delta Deep, and I don't know how long it took because there was a message that came with it. But I think about 20 minutes before I came out of the dream state into the conscious awake state, still in both states, right? It was weird. And I think that's a precursor. I think that's a sign for me. That's like, okay, because one of the other things that's weird that's been happening lately is I'm going home. Like last night I went home at 7 o'clock and I'm asleep by 8. I don't go to bed till after midnight. And I keep, because I think to myself, well, if I go to bed now, I'm going to get up at 4, I'll go to the office. And then I just keep hearing like, no, 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 no. Don't worry about schedules. Just go to bed. If you want to go to bed, go to bed. You want to wake up, wake up. Doesn't matter if the sun's down, sun's up, doesn't matter. Yeah, weird times.
Yes.
Weird times. Yeah.
Yeah, time has been slippery. Uh, just like, yeah, spaces of no time, and time just feels different.
Mm-hmm.
It has this whole year, pretty much, for me.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
more and more. It seems like
yeah.
it's,
Yeah, I think time's been on that trip for about 2 years. And spacelessness or space or however you want to phrase it, that's up now. Like that was part of my thing last night in a very intense way was moving about consciously into the lucid dream, moving about through light body or energy body, but human conscious going with it. It was trippy.
yes.
And the other thing too, I think on all accounts, all aspects of our streams of our experience, everything's amplifying. Like if you can do that today, what can you do a month from now, right?
Hmm.
I mean, even like if you look at something like your daughter, knowing 100 herbs at 5 years old, what's she going to know at 10? And if there's one of her, how many others are there? And if you look at them as a frequency band, what does that look like on the new grid? Like that's just mind-blowing because there's nothing there but purity and
Yes.
instinct and innateness and intuition, right? I mean, it's just all natural.
Hmm.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had talked about the children are going to bring, I mean, of course, the younger generation always brings in the new earth, but these magical children are going to, because we're in the time of we're coming back, we're remembering, but they already know. So
Right.
they're going to bring, as they grow, they're going to bring us even more knowledge that was from way before we can find in books because it's so old.
Yeah.
It's this really like um, just way of being with the earth.
Yeah.
There was that this summer it really came to me. I've been gardening for I don't know like 20 years. I prefer foraging because it grows itself, and then I just go gather. But I always garden because you can get the juicier fruits and vegetables and such. Texas, you really got to fight for the wild stuff. But I was just looking and I'm watering. We're in drought and I'm watering, coating, just trying to save the soil, really working for it. But the wild does it all by itself. And I got that same feeling when I was on the Appalachian Trail, like, why am I working so hard? Like, what if, I've done it on the land here. I'm a big advocate of letting land go wild, no mowing, letting the earth heal itself. Like when I moved onto this land, it was almost all, thistle and just undesirable plants, even though I'm on the river, but it had been cleared and mowed a bunch of times. So I guess I've been on this property for about 8 years, and I have every year there's more and more plants. And this happened to me twice, a bunch of times, but at least 2 times that were so magical and so just this crazy strong manifestation of plants that
Wow.
that I really badly wanted a plant. I seek to find the plant, and then the land that I walk on and get food and medicine from, and I do plant walks on all the time. I know every plant on the land.
Is that
Plants
right?
appeared that were over a year old that I didn't plant there. They were not there. They just appeared.
Wow.
There's one
So,
specific grove of plums. There's a river plum tree that I had.
what?
I might have trespassed a little bit way up the river and grabbed the baby and put it in a pot, and then it ended up dying. It didn't make it. And just a number of weeks later, like this one specific area, and it's pretty close to the rock and where I saw the rattlesnake, close to my house. I walk by there all the time. I've foraged there. I know that spot so well. And I go over there, and there's a whole grove of them. These trees, they were not there before. They're small, probably like a year old. I mean, there's like 20 of them. I was like, these trees were not here. They were not
It's the
here.
rainbow. It's the rainbow realm. It's the rainbow realm coming in. It's the rainbow.
Crazy.
Your daughter probably saw them all the time. Now you're seeing them. See, this is how it works. But that's fascinating too. Somebody else I ran into does the same thing with their land. So it looks all bushy and everything, but they go out there and just forage, right? They got like over 100 acres. And same thing, like, hey, there's Poke Saliani, there's this and that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So you go out with a bag and just forage. Wow. How much food do you buy?
So I actually this year I've let the animals have almost everything because we're in such a bad drought.
Right.
That I'm letting them have almost everything. But oddly enough, like so 2020, the January 1st, 2020, I made I decided I was tired of resolutions that are, you need to stop this and you need to stop this. So I decided in 2020 that my resolution for the year was to taste and make medicine out of as many plants and identify as many plants on the land as possible.
Wow.
And so, of course, March of that year, I had plenty of time to do it.
Right.
And everybody was locked in, and we were at the land, and my neighbor said he has a lot more land, and he said I could forage anywhere on his land too. 2 of my neighbors did. And I really just dove deep into it, learning how to make cordage, doing like just rudimentary basket weaving. I have a whole bookshelf of plant books and identifier books now, and somewhere along the way I really started, I don't even need the books anymore. I can just know what I'm supposed to eat and what I need now.
That's crazy. That's wild. It's beautiful. It's cool. It's very cool. Wow.
So,
And when you
but
put you leave the food, the crops or whatever for the animals, both. Like, do you leave it out for them? Do you see them eat
no,
it, or
I have not. I'm not foraging this year.
you're not foraging? Okay, that's what I'm getting at. Okay.
I took like very minimal stuff.
Right,
Like
right, right.
instead of like before I would get a whole bucket of black walnuts, this year I took three.
Yeah.
Hackberries, there's plenty, but even I'm being super careful because the insects, the birds, all of it's
Right.
connected, and they need everything they can get this year
So
until we
you're
get a
yeah.
bunch of
So you
abundant rain.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're applying the Trinity energy, highest and best for all involved. Without
And babies too. It needs to make babies. The
right,
plants do.
right. That's right. Wow. Fascinating. We'll have to do it again sometime. We'll have to do it again
Yep.
sometime. And yeah, the lady that was on yesterday, Carolyn, she's in shirts. And there's a lot of
Oh,
people in San Antonio, Austin area that are connected to Soulogy. And I was telling her I've always wanted to do a little gathering in between Austin and San Antonio. I think we could get quite a few people there and have a good time. And make some music and have
let's do
some
it.
fun. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. Right now I'm just one day at a time. Really, many moments at a time, at the best during the day. But yeah, it's good seeing you, and best to you in Haven, and thanks for, opening up to us, and we'll do it again sometime. Yeah, and I know we'll see each other again. I'd love to see your
Oh,
daughter. That'd be very cool. Yeah.
yep.
All right. Well, you take care. Peace
Thank
out.
you.
Enjoy your Shangri-La.